Welcome back to the weekend wrap. No production, just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Now, it's actually been I would say a pretty eventful weekend. There's a lot that's gone on. There's been a lot of stuff even just before the weekend that's kind of happened, which has taken taken shape in the boxing world. To be fair, as it is weekend, I won't necessarily bring up certain topics which kind of maybe happened just before the weekend started. But look, let's start with Friday because that's where the work starts, I guess. Now, I didn't see the Jared Anderson fight. I went online to see if I could catch it. Didn't see it, but from all intents and purposes, he didn't look great, looked disinterested, looked like he didn't want to be there. At the end of the day, I guess, look, it's a comeback fight. Does he have it in him to, to carry on, to do the work? I don't know. So I'm not really going to hold judgment until the fight after this one. Because, coming off of that knockout loss, probably feeling like you're invincible, undefeated, a lot's there. And then when that aura of invincibility goes, maybe the rest of it is, par for the course. I guess we got to wait and see. He got a victory. So I'm going to hold fire on further comment until his next fight. But obviously the optics at this point in time don't look good. I didn't see the full Abdullah Mason fight, but I did see like the last round and a half. I was turning over onto Sky Sports and it said that golf was on, but then the boxing was on, or at least that round. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Then I've gone on, and then from then they're like, oh, the main broadcast is starting, but they weren't ready to basically start the fight. So they had like an hour and something of filler content beforehand, and I was just like, oh, okay, so Top Rank really need to kind of sort that out. I know a lot of it obviously is ESPN and they've probably got other games on or they've got other content on that they need to deal with beforehand, but the fact is, like, put the stuff in a time slot that is viable to that audience. I mean, people shouldn't be up like from 11:30 waiting for the main event to kick off. Ultimately just let it start, let it play out, and whoever wants to watch it needs to watch it. That's kind of the way I look at it. Although, look, they're not going to be with ESPN much longer, so I'm trying to remember who the third fight was, because I did watch it. That's the joke. I watched it, but funnily enough, I can't remember off the top of my head who was fighting, so apologies. All I can remember, Xander Zayas versus Slava Spoma. And to be honest, I thought Zayas would win via points decision. And he exceeded that expectation for me. He actually went to, he actually got a stoppage. I think it was in round 8. I think the stoppage was round 8 or round 9. Now, there was a couple low shots, and there was a few shots actually which I felt were low that the referee didn't give, and the referee was maybe saying, "I'll stop complaining or carry on, keep fighting." But there were a couple shots I thought, no, that looks a little, if we're looking at waistband and below the lettering and stuff, they also look like low shots. There was a couple of times where maybe I was saying Slaus Bomo was kind of pushing his head down or has dipped his head down, which has made the trajectory drop a little bit. Fair enough. But yeah, look, it was just it was a case that Xander Zayas was just too much for him on the day. It was a pretty good performance. He had to come through a few tricky moments in there, but he did the business, so shout out to him. Then we went to the main event. Now, in that main event, you had obviously Dennis Berinchyk versus Keyshawn Davis, and all of the drama and the hoopla prior to the to the bout with the package and all of that stuff, and then accusing Berincyk's team then retracting that statement and obviously apologizing about it on the live, saying, oh, okay, I kind of figured that it weren't you guys, but etc etc. All of that stuff kind of came in. I predicted that it would go points. I thought that, you know, Barincek would be, you know, the movement and the ability to sort of stay out of danger, stay out of range would be enough. I knew that Keyshawn Davis was bigger, much bigger than Barincek, but I didn't realize he was that much bigger. So even though I thought he was much bigger, like when I saw them in the ring, wow. And Barincek's been a lightweight his entire career, and he looked tiny next to Keyshawn Davis. So every time he even darted in, like it just every time he tried to throw a punch, even when the punches connected, they looked like they had nothing on them. Almost like Keyshawn, it's almost like he kind of laughed off these punches. That's legit what it felt like. But every time he was in a tussle, anytime he threw a jab, or anytime anything even touched Barincek, like Barincek kind of just went flying, and you realize from early, oh, I don't know if this guy's gonna survive this entire fight. And ultimately, that's exactly how it played out, because, you know, he got caught with a body shot in, I think it was the second round. Even though it looked like at first I thought, oh, it was a bit of a tangle of legs, so it won't be given, but no, the knockdown was called. And then in the fourth, you know, they was exchanging, Keyshawn with a nice little shot to the ribs. It was like an upshot to the ribs in the fourth round, took Barincek down, and he either couldn't get up or decided he couldn't take those shots again. He stayed on his knee, and the referee waved it off after the 10 count. So an official knockout on the books for Keyshawn Davis, wins the WBO lightweight title. Congratulations to him. He's got he's got games to go. He's got a little bit more time. I don't know how much longer he's going to stay at that 135 division. But yeah, he did some good work there, so shout out to him. Moving on from there now, look, I'm going to keep this one real brief, because we had the Matchroom show taking place in Manchester, in the Co-op Live Arena. So this was basically just after the Derek Chisora one a week earlier. And I'm gonna be real, I watched this entire card, and there was not one fight that I enjoyed. The most, I think, to me, maybe the best fight on the card from start to finish that I saw on the main broadcast. I didn't even see any of the prelims. I didn't see Conor Tudsbury or any of those fights. But on the main card, maybe Zelfa Barrett versus Jazza Dickens was the best fight on the card, in my opinion. But even outside of that, it wasn't a very entertaining fight to watch. Pat McCormack and Robbie Davis Jr. also wasn't I don't think was a particularly great fight. It did seem a bit overmatched, although, to be honest, look, Robbie Davis Jr. is like a sort of a hard, grizzled veteran kind of thing. And Pat McCormack, being such a youngster, I think he was 6-0 at the time, you don't really know how well he's going to adjust at that full British level. So I guess it's like that acid test-ish type fight. But yeah, he just didn't really... obviously, he just beat up Robbie Davis Jr. pretty much from round 1 all the way to, I think, the end of round 6 when the fight got waved off. Yeah, it was what it was. And then I was expecting Michael Gomez Jr. and Reece Bellotti to catch fire. That fight also, to me, underdelivered, underperformed. I was bored watching it for the first sort of 5, 6 rounds, 7 rounds, where I just about went live on the channel, just kind of watching it. There was, I was expecting a little bit more from Reece Bellotti, but he did enough to execute his game plan, which ultimately got him the stoppage in the fight in the end. But again, maybe I just wasn't in the mood necessarily to watch like boxing the way I usually do, because I was supposed to have other plans and I was kind of there as an alternative. So maybe I was expecting more than what I should have. But yeah, it just I wasn't really happy. I'll be real. It just didn't really It didn't really take off for me. Then we get to the main event, which is obviously Jack Catterall and Arnold Barboza. Now, you know what? Congratulations to Arnold Barboza for winning the fight. I predicted that Catterall would win. I actually predicted it would be a bit wide on the scorecards, like a 116, 112, I think. But watching the fight, first off, I mean, I've always thought, I think it was only the Jose Pedraza fight for Arnold Barboza that I've actually enjoyed his work and thought that he did, he sort of executed a good game plan, good fight, and actually it was a fun fight to watch. Outside of that, I've never been impressed with him. I actually think if I'm being honest, I actually think he's a bit shit. That also being said, I've said on numerous times that Jack Catterall is just, he's got skills, like he's a good fighter, but he just doesn't, I don't know, there's something about him that just doesn't really inspire confidence in you. And probably that's the reason why he ended up, losing that first Josh Taylor fight, even though no one believes he lost it. But you just don't work enough. You try and coast the rounds, or maybe just one little action moment here or there. Now, obviously, if you've got someone that's constantly pressuring you, maybe you look better. But when you've got to try and force the action, or you're in there with someone who's as economic as you, it's just a bit of a horror show. The same way the Jorge Linares fight was bad. I can't remember the fight. I know the Josh Taylor rematch. There was a fight. The fight he had after that was another one, which was, a bit poor. It's just, now he didn't do enough to affect change in this fight. And, basically he allowed himself to get outworked, or at least just out highlighted in the most crucial moments in the rounds and in the fight. It just, even though I edged it to him, I said that I gave it to him 115, 113. But at the end of the day, like, I can't complain that Arnold Barboza got the victory. Like, he just maybe did that little bit more. Maybe I wasn't giving him the credit for certain things, or I was maybe feeling like the highlight reel thing that maybe Catterall did in the moment might get him more consideration than what Barboza was going to be given, especially him being the away fighter. But yeah, look, and now Barboza's the WBO interim champion. Like, neither guy is main event. Neither guy is like a superstar in the sport. And if I'm honest, like, Catterall losing this fight may be the end of his like career, in the sense of this big level. Yes, he can come again. He can obviously have fights, but when you've got these moments on a silver platter and you don't take them, there's the chance that you don't get these moments again, or you're gonna all of a sudden, now the only way for you to get these moments is to be fed to someone who maybe they've got more attention and more of a, an expectation of, and all of a sudden now you're the gatekeeper to the next one, or you're fighting against the prospect to get your seat back at the table. And that's not the position he was supposed to be in. But honestly, it's his own fault. There was enough moments in that fight, and with Barboza being as ordinary as he is, like, let's be real, he's not a good fighter. But you know what? I say that he's not a good fighter, but somehow he's one of those guys that on the outside looking, he doesn't look like anything at all, but he manages to find a way. So maybe he is a good fighter. Maybe that's his skill. Like, he will find a way to win the fight, no matter how bad he has to look to do it, or no matter how bad he looks on the eye. So either way, look, I'll give him his credit on that sense. But yeah, Catterall, he's got to change up something. Maybe he's got to start working on going forward. Maybe he can't be the cat anymore. Maybe he's got to be the rhino. Maybe he's got to be the bull. Maybe he's got to be, instead of El Gato, he's got to be El Perro. Like, and maybe he's got to be the dog now. He's got to find something else, because if you're just hanging back trying to counter attack all the time, those lows in action just ain't it. And you're already not like a you know, you're not a household name, you're not like a super marketable guy in that sense. It's not going to yeah, like you're just not going to be that superstar. So commiserations. But yeah, Arnold Barboza, WBO interim champion. Let's see if Teofimo Lopez takes that fight. I don't think he will, so I think we're going to end up with Arnold Barboza as the new WBO super lightweight junior welterweight champion of the world. And I guess we just have to see who he has to fight next. Now, briefly, I didn't get to see the entire card, but I saw enough of it that the Golden Boy Promotions card with Oscar Duarte against Miguel Madueño, that card was, to me, I think from top to bottom, probably the card of the weekend. I know what's his name, Joel Iriarte scored a TKO victory on there. I know Kenneth Sims Jr. went unanimous decision. Oscar Duarte, obviously, he beat up Madueño pretty much he lost the first 2 rounds quite comprehensively, but then just was ripping the body, was working the way after that. There was another fight that ended in KO just before that one, but it's escaping me who was in the chief support. And it's funny, I didn't go live for the card. I ended up falling asleep and having to sort of rewatch it. There's parts of it I'm gonna have to go back and watch, but in terms of Duarte and Madueño, Duarte did well coming in short notice. Obviously Madueño was a naturally smaller guy, but has fought at 140 and even up to 150 before, so he's used to being at those weights as well. Yeah, look, it was a a really nasty performance, like body shots. He's good at head and body attack, so shout out to Duarte in that sense. He says he wants to fight Arnold Barboza. That's who he wants next. But to be honest, Arnold Barboza is going to be chasing like the champions as such. Although if Teofimo leaves the division, Barboza might not have a choice but to then face someone like Oscar Duarte, and that will be the moment where Arnold Barboza comes a cropper and actually loses and gets exposed, because his style, the style he has, and the fact that he doesn't seem to have power as such, that will play into the hands of someone like Duarte, who's just going to keep coming forward, is going to be able to get those body shots off, trap you in corners. It will be a lot more of a hard night's work for someone like Barboza. But look, I'm going to leave it there. Not the most comprehensive weekend wrap that I've done, but yeah, this weekend to me there was a couple of highlights. Obviously Keyshawn doing what he did, showing out was good. Xander Zayas did well. Duarte was in a very fun fight. The fight before that, which again I can't remember off the top of my head, apologies, was a pretty sort of a pretty fun fight. The Golden Boy card was the best card overall on the weekend. The Matchroom card to me really under-delivered. I think it sucked, and that's hard as someone who usually does rate the Matchroom cards. The Top Rank card went on way too long. They need to sort out that timing. Hopefully when they get off at ESPN, they'll do a lot better in terms of being able to just go and broadcast at regular normal times. But yeah, look, that's pretty much that. This will be coming, you'll see this after I've done the Fight Talk Live. I'm going to put the link for Fight Talk Live in the description, so even though you may not watch it live from this video, you can go subscribe to the new channel that we've got, and we'll be streaming across that channel from next week with the Riyadh stuff coming in. So a lot to look forward to. But I'm going to leave it there. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you very much for watching. Should be quite a lot of content coming out this week. I'm going to try and do a lot in lead up to this week, so I will be a bit busy. But yeah, I will catch you on the next video. So until then, thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your night, and peace.